Hey there. Welcome to The Sound of Science here on Kitchen Sink University. I'm Casey Rochford, and I'm going to talk to you today about an article that just came out from the Mayo Clinic about the issues that we're seeing with vaping illnesses and deaths. So, there was a study done at the Mayo Clinic, and their findings from the uh, people that they studied, two of whom died, and all of the others had become ill, uh, had some interesting findings. They're thinking that it's pointing to some uh, toxic byproducts or chemical contaminants, or some combination of the two, perhaps, within the vape liquids and not actually the oils themselves, um, which is interesting. They said they're not seeing any evidence of lipoid pneumonias. So I was initially thinking, well, this is a fairly new technology. We're not used to, uh, we don't really have any long-term studies on this, and we we haven't really exposed our lungs to oils before, and obviously our lungs aren't adapted to metabolize oils, uh, lipids, fats, things like that. Um, so that would have been my suspicion, but they're thinking chemical contaminants is a possibility, which has definitely been on the table in discussions. Um, to my knowledge, nothing has been linked yet. Uh, a lot of the people did report using THC products. Some of them were legit, most of them weren't. Some people that got ill were only using nicotine products, and again, some were legit. And so you can't just point the finger at any one thing and say, oh, it's the black market, or it's Juul, or whoever. There's definitely something odd at play here, which always also leads me to believe that, if you have that much variability, the contaminant becomes less likely, I think. um, I mean, unless they're all getting something from the same source. There are so few additives to vape oils, so you would think it would be pretty easy to narrow down by now. uh, so getting on to the toxic byproducts, this is something that does make sense theoretically. We haven't seen any real long-term studies on this because it is fairly new. I know that people used to vape things in like homemade contraptions, and I don't know if there was anything different about um, the media which they were vaping, and how it was prepared versus the way things are done now. But just because we're starting to see a handful of people all at the same time and most people are still okay doesn't mean you're always going to be okay. These things aren't going to just strike at, X amount of time after use. It's going to vary. It is weird that they're all kind of popping up at one time based on different variances of uh, usage. But um, the point I'm trying to drive home here is toxic byproducts. We're dealing with a different chemistry than smoking stuff. We're not lighting something on fire and burning it and inhaling smoke. We're vaporizing an oil and inhaling the vapors. So you've already got different chemical additives. They're interacting with the various drugs that you're inhaling, the other chemicals that are in there, the chemicals in the flavorants, um, you know, the there's not a lot of regulation on this from what I understand. I was a little surprised to hear that they kind of rushed this through to capitalize on the popularity of it. So it kind of missed a lot of safety trials as far as I understand. So it does make sense to be wary of vaping right now. If you're able to put it down, you probably ought to. Um, if you haven't started, really shouldn't probably. Um, it is still a vice, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with vices in moderation, I suppose. But you know, all in all, if you can quit, you should. But the whole ban thing seems a little over the top, I will admit. But all we can do is look to the science and keep doing our research and keep a critical eye to this and keep questioning the results, because that's the only way we're going to arrive at the answers. So I will put the link in the description and let you read for yourself, and we'll see you next week.